Rami back in another video. Hope you guys all enjoyed today's video. Make sure to hit the like and subscribe button as per usual. This is What If Sakura Was in Uzumaki Part 1. Part 0 was released about a couple days ago, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe 2 or 3 now. Which was just really the backstory of the What If, how Sakura is in Uzumaki, blah blah blah. We can now jump right into the What If. What If Sakura Was in Uzumaki Part 1. So, we didn't really leave off with a specific event occurring. So we're actually going to start off with Sakura in the library. We know from the last part that Sakura does go to the library often just to learn and actually to increase her own power through, say, learning things about chakra and chakra natures and jutsu, etc., etc. Here today, though, she's learning about ninja history, specifically the history of her own village, the Leaf Village. If she is to one day become a powerful kunoichi, she wants to be able to represent her village, and she wants to be adept in the knowledge about her village as well. With that being said, what would she learn? Well, she wanted to learn about the great clans. She knew many children about her age who were from multiple renowned clans in the Leaf, whether it be the Yamanaka with Ino or the Uchiha with Sasuke. Heck, even the Aburame or Akamichi clans and their odd abilities, yet amazing fame around the world for their diverse abilities and strength. So she opened a book in the library. The book was dated, clearly. The pages were some far in between that were actually of quality, and, well, the book was kinda, to use a word lack thereof, musty. Sakura opened the pages, and she sifted through them, learning as much information as she could on all of the clans. But after reading on the Uchiha clan and their amazing abilities in her own words, obviously she didn't say this out loud, but it's definitely what she thought, she started scrolling through the pages to try and find her own clan, because she knew that the Uzumakis had to be a clan of relevance in the Hidden Leaf Village. Because although Sakura had learned how to control her chakra and had even been able to do what she did in Shippuden with, well, being able to use it and being able to power her own physical techniques and attacks and abilities, she knew that 6-year-olds don't really get to do that. And, well, that her clan, the Uzumaki, had to have given her this larger chakra pool. But she also knew that, of course, from the beast that lived inside of her, Hana. With that being said, Sakura continued to look through the book, and eventually she found a part on the Uzumakis. It read many things, but the things that were of relevance were that they were destroyed, that they were feared by the other nations and teamed up on by the other nations. Sakura didn't know how to feel about it. Her clan was, well, quite literally massacred. This would be the equivalent of a 6-year-old Sasuke finding out, well, obviously growing up with a family to begin with, without a family to begin with, my apologies, but then figuring out that his clan was massacred by every other great nation besides the Hidden Leaf Village. So this creates a sort of, I guess you could call it, a sort of inner love for the Hidden Leaf Village, that they didn't participate in the bloodbath that was the Uzumaki massacre, that instead they even tried to offer their support, but they got there too late. This, although made Sakura obviously sad, it gave her hope that in the future she could possibly repopulate the clan, because she knew that although there was an Uzumaki massacre, and although all Uzumaki died, she knew that wasn't the case. It quite literally couldn't be, because of a young boy in the Hidden Leaf Village named Naruto Uzumaki, who was quite literally the same age as her. She knew that Naruto survived, as they had literally talked before, and they were, well, they kind of met at the orphanage. And so, that meant that not all Uzumaki were gone. And whether it be Naruto or another Uzumaki who she had yet to meet, that meant that hope for the clan was not all but lost, and that the lineage of the Uzumakis could be restored one day. But obviously, that was something that she couldn't go and do now, as she was far, far, far too young. But she could at least accumulate power strong enough to be able to at least breach the surface of what some of her former clansmen may have been able to achieve. To be feared by 4 great nations in the world of Naruto, they had to have immense strength. That's all Sakura could think of. We now have a time skip of 2 years, making Sakura officially 8 years old. She has grown tremendously and has even managed to unlock a chakra nature. We know that Naruto unlocked a chakra nature in less than, 6 months, but we also know that that was because of his shadow clone technique. So Sakura doesn't have that. It's going to take her 2 years, and I think that's actually quite reasonable to learn a chakra nature. Now, with that being said, in the academy, Sakura would truly shine. Her chakra control abilities made it so that she was the epicenter of attention, as everything that they had to do as far as chakra natures went, she could do with ease. She mastered the clone jutsu in just a few seconds, and she breezed through nearly everything. Not only was she physically strong, not only was she versed in chakra control and, the ways of a ninja, never mind the ninja history books, but she also possessed a mental toughness and a competitive drive, something that the original Sakura doesn't necessarily have. Sakura in this timeline got this from her father, Kyoto Uzumaki, a powerful Uzumaki who once had a brawl with Kushina to decide who was going to eat their food first, growing up in, very close proximity to each other. With that being said, Sakura would actually pass the academy earlier than Sasuke and Naruto, passing the academy at the age of 11 instead of the age of 12. Now, that's 1 year, and in the ways that I've spoken of Sakura, you'd think that she'd pass the academy faster, like an Itachi or a Minato, or even a Kakashi. But that's just not the case here, and she's going to pass the academy a year earlier, which is still a big and large improvement than, the original timeline. Now, with that being said, what does she do with her whole 1 year? She finds a sensei / a jonin that she believes she could model her own techniques after. We know that Sakura in the original timeline had an affinity for genjutsu, so she would go to Kurenai. Now, it might be hard to believe that she still has this affinity due to the fact that she's from the Uzumaki clan, but this is something that she's just going to have for the sake of the what if. So she is going to still have that affinity, and she would go actually to Kurenai to train her. Kurenai, seeing that a young genin recognized her own wits in genjutsu as a genjutsu specialist, felt not only proud of herself and her own accomplishments and the fact that young children like Sakura knew who she was, but also honored that a young genin would come to her for advice, for training, for whatever it may be. And so she would actually offer it. She would tell Sakura what days that she was free, and Sakura would understand, coming to her selectively only on those days. As for Sakura, she was, well-versed in genjutsu, which meant that a lot of things came easy to her. Kurenai saw this and would quickly train her in most things genjutsu. This means that by the end of the year, Sakura was actually not a bad genjutsu user whatsoever. Now, you could even call her a okay genjutsu user at the start of part 1, but in this timeline, she's definitely a good genjutsu user, being taught by a genjutsu specialist like Kurenai and having the chakra to learn as many genjutsu as she really wanted to due to the fact that she's an Uzumaki. This also meant that her training with Kurenai in genjutsu could last way longer, of course, due to her immense chakra reserves. But eventually, Kurenai took Sakura to a training ground in the Leaf Village. She would tell Sakura that there are many times when genjutsu cannot be performed. When that happens, you must rely on taijutsu and your skill with well, kenjutsu objects like shuriken, kunai, or even blades. So, Kurenai would ask Sakura what she wanted, and Sakura would tell Kurenai that not only did she want to know how to use shuriken and kunai and paper bombs and, well, smoke bombs and stuff like that for obviously escape and, well, attack or even counterattacks, whatever it may be, but she also wanted to be able to wield a short sword. And Kurenai laughed. It's funny, actually. You came to me, a genjutsu specialist, and here we are learning kenjutsu. Unfortunately, I'm not great at learning how to use blades, but there is a specific jonin in the village currently who's quite good at it, might I add. What's his name? His name is the copy ninja, Hatake Kakashi, or Kakashi Hatake. You should visit him. I believe that he would know exactly how to train you in the ways of using a short blade. You see, when Kakashi was younger, he used to use a short blade himself. And even on his time in the Anbu. What? He was an Anbu? Not just any Anbu. He was an Anbu captain. How do you know? What do you mean, how do I know? I'm a Jonin. We're friends. Yeah, but how do you know that he was an Anbu captain? Anbu captains are supposed to keep their identity completely hidden. Oh my god. Ugh. Obviously, they're supposed to keep their identities completely hidden. But Asuma and Kakashi go way back. They're actually rivals. Asuma's a great friend of mine, obviously. And we were talking about Kakashi one time, and he mentioned it. It's normal for people, even with iron wills of the Anbu, to spill random things about themselves. Kakashi is no longer a part of that life, but I'm sure if he was in the Anbu at the time, he would never say anything about being an Anbu captain. Anyways, go to him. Where can I find him, then? You can find him on the outskirts of the village in a... Oh, wait. What time is it? Kurenai would dig in her pocket for a watch that she carried, and she would realize that it was around the time that Kakashi tended to visit Obito's grave. And so she would tell Sakura that she could actually find him at the, well, Konoha graveyard. The one where they buried the ninja from the last Great Ninja War. Sakura nodded, knowing exactly where this was, as she often passed it to get to the library, which she frequently studied at, and so she went, taking a blade that Kurenai had actually purchased for her, as well as kunai, shuriken, and paper bombs. She took them all to the graveyard and dropped them, as well as her sword, implanting it into the ground behind Kakashi. Do you know someone here? Is that why you've brought all these things, to honor them? No, but do you? Looking right at him. Obito Uchiha, Rin Nohara, Minato Namikaze. My sensei, and my fellow genin. Well, at the time I was a jonin, but my fellow comrades. I'm sorry to hear of your loss. How are you yet so strong, and you've gone through so much loss? Half the people you've known through your ninja life seem to have died. You're completely correct. It's hard, for sure. But over time, you get used to it. The people that you know and loved, well, they just aren't coming back. Kakashi would look back at Sakura, realizing something. He could feel her immense chakra, but not only that, but she could feel a second chakra within her. This was what, for lack of a better word, we'll call the beast within her, which also for a new name will be known as the Zero Tails. Yes, there is a Zero Tails which is in the Naruto movie timeline, but these two things are not at all the same. Although they act in a similar nature, the Zero Tails had only negative intentions for the most part, while this beast is actually perfectly fine with allowing Sakura to use her chakra, as it is a girl, and also is perfectly fine with Sakura, well, existing. She doesn't want to escape from Sakura's body, and honestly, she's had enough of humans just constantly fighting and trying to trap her and attacking her, and, well, you get the point. After a while, you kind of get lazy and sometimes bored or maybe even annoyed enough to allow a young Kunoichi like Sakura to call on your power whenever she wants. Kakashi then looked back at, well, the grave. This is gonna be a weird question, but how did they die? You want the real answer or the made-up one that I'd tell someone your age? Kakashi Hatake, the copy ninja. I'm 11 years old, but I am a genin. So, just treat me with some respect. Not all the respect in the world, as obviously you don't have to, but at least acknowledge that I am a genin, and I can handle stuff like that. I'm curious. I really am. She was really only curious because one of the names he mentioned was, well, quite literally the fourth Hokage of the Hidden Leaf Village. Kakashi would turn around, sitting crisscross applesauce on the ground, and looking up at Sakura, who would also then sit down as a form of respect. Glad to see we're on the same page. Well, how long do you have? As much time as you need to tell the story of their passing. Why are you so interested? Not that it's weird, but most ninja... Okay, it's weird. Why are you interested? I'm borderline just curious. Side note, if you heard a sound, all things considered a weird sound, it was actually a door opening in my house. Sorry if it was quite loud. I tried to edit it out. If it wasn't edited out, then my apologies, but continue on with the story. Kakashi would then begin to go into detail of the Third Great Ninja War, but after a little while of talking about it, Sakura would tell him that she knows just about everything about the Third Great Ninja World, and, well, the war, too. She knows how politics were back then in the Third Great Ninja War and, well, the world of the Third Great Ninja War. But she... Oh, also, tongue twister for you guys. If you ever try to say war and world, it is so hard to do in, like, the same sentence. So, like, yeah, just trust the struggle if you heard my tongue kind of twist there. Anyways... Kakashi would then understand that Sakura was not just any genin, but that she was actually quite smart, and that she knew about the history of her world, the world that she knew nothing about coming into it, the world of the past, the First, Second, and Third Great Ninja Wars, and what the world likewise was at the time like. And so he then went into detail about his genin, well, at the time, genin partners. I was young. When I was a genin, I was less than 7 years old. I had 2 comrades, specifically. Squad mates, actually. Rin Nohara, a medic, and Obito Uchiha. You know of the Uchiha clan, do you? Of course I do. They're still prominent in the village today. Yeah. Problem was, he didn't awaken his Sharingan, so we would butt heads all the time. I see. Yeah. Anyway, point is, some time would pass and, well, let's just say we would eventually get our first real mission. I was a Jonin at the time. And, well, Minato Namikaze was not yet Hokage. He was just our Jonin captain, Minato. He left with us one of his legendary flying Raijin kunai, and told us to, well, basically call on him if we needed something, or if we were in danger. So we knew, and we went in. It was a war effort. That was the mission. We were supposed to destroy a bridge. A bridge that would allow us to, well, the point is, it was important, okay? Whilst on the mission, things took a turn for the worst. Rin was captured by enemy ninja from the stone, and, well, I believed that the mission was the first priority. That a medic like Rin would be prioritized, and, well, so I believed that she wouldn't be at harm or in harm's way. And thus, it led me to basically, I guess you could say, not caring maybe as much as I should have, in the eyes of Obito, who then scolded the hell out of me. He told me that it's true that anyone who doesn't follow the ninja rules were scum. You see, at the time, I was infatuated with the ninja rules, and I didn't want to do anything to disobey them. But then he told me that anyone who would abandon their comrades was worse than scum. And that's when it hit me. And so, anyways, one thing led to another, and things took a turn for the worse. Although I got back Rin, Obito's body was left half crushed under a boulder. Funny enough, it wouldn't be the end of Obito saving me. Wait, he saved you and that's why he ended up under the boulder? Precisely. He pushed me and Rin out of the way so that, well, only he would be hit. It's unfortunate. He deserves to be here just as much as I do. So does Rin. Anyways, he happened to give me a gift. You see, I had become a Jonin, and Minato and, well, Rin had both given me gifts. Minato a kunai and Rin a personalized medkit. He never gave me a gift. You could say it was because he was cocky, but I don't know. I just don't think he knew what kind of gift to give me. The point is, I mentioned how half of his body was under the rock, and his Sharingan was active. And in that moment, he gave me the gift. Don't tell me. And that's why. Precisely. His gift to me was the Sharingan. I later had to go and master it, but it was a Sharingan. And, well, that's why I keep it covered, so that it doesn't drain all my chakra and kill me. You see, people who are not born as Uchiha cannot just wield the Sharingan. It not only takes an incredible toll on chakra, but if you don't have it bandaged up or covered, it will just keep draining and draining and draining your chakra without even using any of its abilities, since you can't deactivate it at all. Now, with that being said, not very long after, I was forced to kill Rin. We were surrounded by Miss Shinobi, actually. And they were going to, they were going to take Rin and use her to attack the Hidden Leaf Village. You see, Rin had the three tails Asobu within her, which meant that she was a Jinchuriki. Unlike the Senju or Uzumaki, she didn't possess the strong physical body to be able to deal with a tailed beast within her, which meant that her body was slowly, losing in a relentless battle against her own tailed beast. And so, she would eventually begin to break. And she knew when that was close to happening. And she basically sacrificed herself instead of allowing herself to rampage. She told me to use my 𝙎𝙈𝙊𝙃 to stab right through her. And, well, I did it. Your 𝙎𝙈𝙊𝙃? Yes, my 𝙎𝙈𝙊𝙃. It is an ability that can cut through lightning itself. It is an ability that I used in the 3rd Great Ninja War, especially, and many other wars. Now, with that being said, it was a dangerous technique without my Sharingan. Anyway, that's besides the point. Ad nauseum, even, if you will. The point is, I killed her. Per her request. And I don't know how it happened, but I passed out and eventually ended up surrounded by dead ninja. And I returned to the Hidden Leaf Village. As for Minato, his death would come years after the war effort, where he was crowned a hero, taking out an entire platoon by himself in just seconds. Anyway, he was named Hokage. Not very long after, or it's less than a year if I'm exact on that. He gave his life sealing the 9 tails in a young boy who happens to be his son. Have you reached out to the boy? No. I believe that it would be disrespectful to seek him out. I don't know. You should. Maybe he's growing up alone. Maybe he has nobody. And you could be there for him. Truly. You make a good point. Anyways, why exactly are you, am I here? You're gonna train me in how to use a short sword, because I have no idea how. Quite demanding. Why exactly should I? I mean, if you don't know how to, there's no reason I should be teaching you. It's simple. Because I want to know how to protect myself with a blade. Fine. If you can physically hurt me with just one punch, and that's all, then I'll allow you to learn from me on how to use a short sword. And so, Sakura would be given her one punch, and she would power it with chakra control, actually knocking out Kakashi. But that's what she thought. She only knocked the wind out of him, but it did hurt like hell, and Kakashi would even reward her for doing so, training her. They would train for the rest of the year until Kakashi had to actually take up his own Genin squad, and they were missing a candidate. And so he would actually choose Sakura, as he would be given the permission to do so by Hiruzen, who would totally veto it. Sorry, not veto it, but rather the opposite, allow it. Now, with that being said, this now marks the beginning of Team 7. I know that this video may seem like a lot of Sakura backstory still, but we are definitely going to touch on Naruto and Sasuke, because a what if devoid of them would be not the best, but not the worst either. Now, with that being said, when we will touch on them is going to be in the next part or the part after that. I hope you guys all enjoyed the video. I'm recording in a completely different space right now, so there's a ton of external noises. Yeah, there was nothing I could do about it, but I did have to get this video up for you guys at almost all cost. With that being said, I hope you guys all enjoyed today's video. Make sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons. That would be deeply appreciated. Share the video to a friend who likes this, or just name the content in general. And with that being said, we can now end the video. This has been 𝙎𝙈𝙊𝙃, and well, 𝙎𝙈𝙃